Good morning. Happy Sunday. I'm so glad that you're here and you've taken the time to come watch this video and explore it with me because today I want to talk about something really interesting, which is, we have these observation skills, which are intelligences. They are where our multidimensional stuff sort of comes forward. And the topic for today is training your observer because when we gather information, we learn how to do that as children. We learn how to do that when we're infants, that imprinting, which is to scan, record, and play back. Like, okay, that's what humans do here. That's what humans do here. That's what humans do here. And I always like to use the original old Star Trek. Star Trek show, which is when usually Spock and Captain Kirk would beam down to a planet and they had all the intelligence of, there was oxygen, there's water, there's life, there's this, there's that, but they didn't know what to expect. And so when they beam in, they sort of, all of their awareness goes up and it's like, so what do I have to do to align and survive here on this planet? And so for those of you who've followed me for a few years now, what I love to do is watch how one or two or three things sort of land throughout the week and bring in a topic that I want to talk about, or that's like, here, go play with this one. So I got an email from a person who follows me on this YouTube who said, "Hey, can you talk about people pleasing? What's going on with that, and shame, and some of the things that happen there?" And I'm like, "Wow, that's a good topic." And then I've been working with clients all week on hypervigilance and hyperindependence. And if you've seen my Instagram and my Facebook, I've been talking a lot about hypervigilance, and it got a lot of attention. And then the last piece that fell in was the Instagram continuous reels, which I love, which is, what happens when we step back and let our children do dangerous things, but do dangerous things mindfully and figure it out, like how to climb on a monkey bar set. The image that it keeps coming to mind is this toddler who's climbing from the back of an old pickup along the window edge and then trying to climb up onto the roof. And I'm just like, wow, this is fabulous. Like, what happens when we really let go and let a child, free them up to explore, to observe, to see, to experience their own cause and effect? So when those all came together, it came up with this. For me, it came up with this idea of, our observation skills are our mastery. These are the gifts we have as humans. So I want to play with that a little bit. So the first thing I want to do is start with defining what is observation, or, to observe. It's to become aware, to notice through careful, directed attention. Like, I'm watching and I'm thinking and I'm looking, careful attention, to watch attentively. It can be a systematic, scientific observation of sequences, like this happens and this happens and this happens, and you repeat it and you repeat it until you know that there's a pattern there. The one that caught my eye was to conform one's actions or practice, to comply. So we use our observation skills to comply. We use our observations to establish patterns. We use our observations to determine safety. We use our observations to navigate. So it's when our internal intelligences are gathering information all around us, right? And we're matching ourselves, we're making ourselves fit in with the alignment on the external world. So it isn't, hey, I'm just this wiggly free being and I'm going to be who I am in this earth. No, what we're doing is we're using our observation skills to navigate, to say, how do I align? How do I fit in? And when we fit in, we're not our authentic self. We are complying to others. And this is what happens when we have multidimensional sort of awareness of different dimensions. And if you watch the Academy Awards, everywhere, every place, was all about having multidimensional experiences simultaneously, right? So it's multidimensional, multiple intelligences all working to fit into the muggle world, which is like, these are the rules. If you do this and you comply, then you don't stand out, you don't get hurt, right? And uh, part of what I've been doing is studying these seeded humans who have been bringing frequencies up into our Earth. Indigo's in 77, the crystals in 89, starting in mass, like not exactly that date, but that's when they started to come in mass. The rainbows in 2002, and the diamonds starting in 2008 going forward. These are frequencies that are honing their observation skills. They're honing their multidimensional and intelligences in such a level that oh wow, we don't even know what they're capable of doing, because a lot of them are still 10 and under, right? Or 20 and under, barely making a mark on the world. So this observation component of what I'm playing with, what I'm working with, fits into Chiron, which, I'm always going to bring Chiron up because it matters. It really matters. So Chiron is our childhood experiences, usually between birth and three. There are childhood wounds and our childhood traumas, and they also are about our gifts. So, what happens is that Chiron rules the nervous system, and the nervous system is how the field sort of gathers information, right? And so, when this energy, right, it's our open energy system, gets contracted, not contracted, contracted when it shirks back because of the world, because of family, because of home, because of life, because of the neighborhood kids, because of school, because of think of all of these different. First there's mom and dad, or first there's the parent, right? The parents. Then there are the extended family. Then there are the influencers of that extended family. So I'm trying to make sure that I address all different components that a newborn would be facing, right? And Chiron, based on its location in the houses, is going to tell you a lot about what's going on with your physical experience on this planet. So if you are if your house is ruled, or if your house is on a physical earth sign, which is the second, sixth, and 10th house, then you're going to have experiences in the physical world that shut you down or that compromise you. If you have mental or air houses, which is the third, the seventh, and the 11th, then you're going to start bringing things into form that are repetitive based on your wounds, and you're creating the same thing over and over again. And there's this constriction, right, on your thought patterns. If it's emotional in water, that's going to show up in the fourth, eighth, and 12th house, right? Which is when I'm an empath and I can feel, or I have empathic skills. We're all empaths, right? And I can feel the emotions, but when I talk to them or react to them, they're not, the reaction in the muggle world is not the same as what I'm seeing in my head, right? Or feeling in my body, or experiencing with my eyes. Spiritual, which is fire, that momentum, right, is in the first, the fifth, and the ninth house, right? So these birth environments will give you the experiences that you need as a human to both develop and nurture your gift, and to be shut down in that specific area, so that your observation skills, your ability to see above and beyond the muggle world is limited. Our job is to heal those parts, is to understand, oh yeah, because my home environment was emotionally unsafe, and what I was feeling and experiencing was not what was acceptable to my parents in my family system. I became hyper vigilant at watching facial expressions, watching ticks in the cheek, when someone was upset, feeling the pressure at the table of somebody being angry, and not even knowing what to do. This is where the hypervigilance in me was created. So, how do I flip that from hypervigilance to, man, I am one kick-ass observer. There isn't anything I miss. So when I actually know that my observation skills, the way that I gather information, has been well trained from the family system that I birthed into, oh man, it changes everything. So we take these observation challenges that are given to us through Chiron, and then we flip them and we start to work on what is our real strength here. So, what we want to do is we want to Whether we do it with our children as we're teaching them and growing them, birth on, right? Whether we do this with our partner, we talk about this, and these are the wounds I've had. These are the ways that I've coped and dealt with them, and this is what I'm learning about myself. Or whether we just do this with ourselves, which is like, where am I people pleasing and placating because I'm afraid of being hurt, and I know what's going to happen. And every time that I come up on that wall, I know that I don't want mom or dad or this person or that person to have this reaction to me, right? Again, we talked about hypervigilance. It comes in with a lack of trust, right? Or self worth, which is I know something, I see something, I'm observing something, but then I'm told that it's wrong. And I don't know that I have any value on this planet, right? Lack of trust in body and self. When we say to our children, "Hey, don't do that. Be careful, you might fall." And we don't allow them to stretch, right, and do mindful, dangerous play and figure it out for themselves. Then they learn that the world is very unsafe, and they keep contracting further and further into a lack of physicality. Or, and if you have one of these kids, you will understand this. They just like don't care, and they'll break things and do anything, but the idea of being mindful and conscious and playing with it is constricted. And so, you know, mm, when we are tamed by fear or hurt or experiences, we shut down our observation skills. We become less of the observer and more of the conformer, complier, right? Our observer needs to be freed up to gather, to explore, to attune, to align, so that you can find your own frequency and your own purpose. I mean, that's what this is all about. That's what I think this awakening is all about. So, this card haunts me constantly. It's the nine. It's a major arcana, the number nine in the tarot deck. This is the Osho Zen. And there's often times when I'm like the hermit. That means just retreating and separate yourself, which as a Pisces, I can isolate a lot, and I've been isolating too much lately, right? But what this also means is take your light and shine it out. What go out and light the world with it. And I love this one. Within the fire signs, we have this three of wands, which is allow yourself to observe and experience everything in nature, in the world around you, what your body feels like, what motivates you, what opens you up, what shuts you down, right? Because physically, when that happens, these are both three. This is lovely. The way the Empress energy shows up in the mundanes is that on the physical level, when we observe, we realize that we're never alone and we're being guided through this. Now, we don't really know who's guiding us, but we know that there's some confidence that shows up when our observer is up and open. So this is what I've been doing with my coaching is I've been working on energy management, working on flipping those wounds and really discovering what those gifts are. So if this is something that you would like to work on, by all means, like drop me a message and tell me, yeah, I want to do this with you, Denise, because I would love that. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I have 6 tips for you today, and I'll just run through them, and be sure to like and share this and pass these tips around, or watch it several times until you really understand what I'm talking about by these tips, right? So the most most important shift you can make is to change languaging into what do I notice? What do you notice? And then go silent. Don't start feeling it. Well, there's this, because that's your head chattering, right? What do you notice? And when I ask someone, what do you notice? Their field sort of opens up, and they're like, their whole field starts to bring in information from the body, from the senses, from their mind with the stories. And when we notice when we go into noticing, our field expands. So watch that with yourself. Watch that with your partner. Watch that with your child. When they're in the middle of something, say, hey, what do you notice right now? And it gives each of us the freedom to notice something that we hadn't really even put words to it before. Number 2, our attention grows with space. It can get exhausted when it's inundated over and over again all day long with too many tasks, too much clutter, too busy schedule, too many people talking, right? So time, give yourself extra time, free up your schedule, do some deep breathing. That's what I like the most about nature is that nature has a natural pace that aligns with our heart and our hurt system, and it helps us open our observation skills, right? And sometimes, for me, driving, I love road trips with sometimes music, sometimes a book, sometimes just quiet, or sitting outside or inside in a room with no distractions, no news, no radio, no music, no anything, right? Okay, number three, build space throughout your day to nurture this observer. So it isn't just that your observer expands with space, it's actually you have to go in and actually build it, which is how do I create a half an hour in between sessions for me? I need the minimum of a half an hour. I really prefer an hour in between sessions so that I can unwind one and then begin to prepare for the other one. And you know your schedule, whether it's classes, whether it's um, work appointments, phone calls. Give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half an hour between these so that you can absorb and bring in. Make sure that you're observing everything that's happening and you're letting go of reactions, and then you're stepping up into. So with time and space, with people and events, you get a chance to see more. Like everything becomes more clear to you and you react less. It's beautiful. I mean, everyone's always talking about simplify your time, like spread it out, but we don't realize that we're cultivating our observer, right? That's what our observer means. Number four, break the conformity in your world. Break it, change it up. Allow, attentive, challenging play with yourself and with your children or with anyone. Try new things, like try going to a static dance, try rock climbing, try walking across a river on the rocks. Try a new path that you've never seen before. Because what we're really trying to do is we're letting our inner child explore and freeing yourself from this harsh management, which I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and pushing and pushing and pushing. And it gives, if you're raising children, it gives them space and time to problem solve for themselves so that they're in charge of their own field and their own energy. Number five, untame yourself. Man, like stop it. There's no fear, there's no hurts, there's no experiences. Untame yourself where you shirk or you I don't want to get in trouble for that one, right? So you let your observer grow and you watch who displays discomfort and judgment and anger around, well, I just don't like this. Whoever you've just become, I don't like that. And you're like, good. I'm untaming myself right now. And watch yourself with others and watch your children. Give them permission to untame themselves. And then six, the last one, is to have compassion, because the unlearning of all of these old patterns and the learning of noticing and growing your observer, it means that you're going to take the world and turn it into a new form. Because when we observe things, when we feel things and think things, we start to create a different world. So this is the kind of stuff I've been doing each week, is playing. So take that observer out for a walk today. Take that observer into some quiet space and just go, what do I notice right now? And again, if this is helpful and you would like more help, more support with that, drop me a message. You have a good Sunday, and I will see you next week. All right. Take care. Bye bye.